regular meeting to order for Thursday, April 25th, 2019. So, on the agenda for tonight, we have approval of minutes for 410, 411, and 417. The warrants, mail, public comment section, town administrator's report consisting of insurance update for PACIF, budget update, request to commence work on access to hiking trail, zoning and health officer positions, roles, and hours, request permission to post for health officer, appoint the TA as deputy health officer, transfer station attendant position, swinging seniors request the ability to rent school buses for their trips, legislative update, economic development update, request to hold summer forum, revolving loan fund select board approval of revised engineering contract, and EPA change of use for the wastewater treatment facility solar array site. Then we'll have old business with appoint energy committee Bill Barnes and Barbara True Weber, and appoint unfilled vacancies. Then we'll move on to new business for adopt town plan amendments and road foreman regarding blacktop plans, and then executive session if necessary for personal or legal contractual. Does anybody wish to make any changes to the agenda?
Of course, I do. I'd like to please move under new business, adopt town plan amendments to occur before warrants if possible, along with appointing the energy committee and appointment of unfilled vacancies to get those out of the way in the event that our lovely patrons that are here this evening would like to go home and not wait until 11 o'clock tonight.
Are we legally allowed to go to new business before addressing old business?
Sure.
Okay.
She didn't hit her no button.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
press it.
sure. I was
Doing
looking
so-
down, so I didn't know if I missed a
Doing
look.
so before you vote
Okay.
on the,
I'm okay with doing that first.
And let's just add appointing the TA as deputy in there to get all the appointments done at once.
I was gonna say we were already gonna be addressing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least underneath his administrator's report, it's appoint TA as deputy health
Okay.
officer. All right, so moving the adopt town plan amendments to where?
After approval of minutes,
Okay.
followed by 7A and B.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got any changes they'd like to make? No? All right, so I'll hear a motion to accept the,
Motion to accept the agenda
Second it,
as amended.
as amended.
as amended, second it.
All right. There's a motion to accept the agenda as amended. All in favor, discussion first. Any further discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
All right, it carries.
Okay.
All right. So,
Everybody had a chance to read them minutes.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I skimmed through them, so.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of 4:10.
I think you can do them all at once.
Can we do them all at once? Or
So why not?
If you
Okay.
want.
Do it.
Okay, 4:10, 4:11, and 4:17, as noted.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, there's a motion to approve the minutes for 410, 411, and 417. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, minutes are approved. All right, so moving on to, you wanted to do warrants first?
No, she wanted to.
Nope. We're
Okay.
gonna do
do
the
appointments
appointments
first.
first.
All right, so moving on to the appointments.
Yep.
So do the energy committee first.
Sure.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Bill Barnes and Barbara True Weber to the Energy Committee as requested.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion on that? All right. Motion to approve Bill Barnes and Barbara True Weber to the energy committee. All in favor, say aye.
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 Bob?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. They're appointed.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint unfilled vacancies.
I'll second that.
All right.
Who would that be?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that would be Mr. Bushy for Planning Commission.
I didn't know if there was anybody else or not.
We haven't
There was
been
no
notified
letters
of
of
that.
interest
Yeah.
No
submitted
letters
to
of
us, so.
Would you like to get up and say a few words?
Yeah, whatever you need, if you got any questions for me.
You're still interested in taking the position, or
Yeah, that would be the big question.
application?
You still want it?
Still interested?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Bushy to fill the last vacancy on the planning commission vacated by Fred Miller. Thank you, Fred, for all your service.
Yes, thank you, Fred.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All right. We have a motion to approve John Bushy to the planning commission. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Congratulations and my condolences, John.
Yeah, congratulations.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the town plan amendment.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion to adopt the town plan amendments. Is there any discussion?
Just a quick comment to Bob Jarvis on the phone. Just that I have learned that there are many towns, I can't say a majority because it's not going to be a majority, it'll be a minority, but there are many towns who have chosen not to do an enhanced tenancy plan at all. And that was because they deemed the substantial deference to be more of a detriment than a more of a liability than a benefit. Just something to keep in mind. I think we've already talked about it. I think everybody's considered it, but I just want to get it out there before we vote.
All right. Thank you, Bob. All right. Any further discussion? All right. So, all in favor of adopting the town plan amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
All right. Motion- I'm sorry, Bob.
No, he's name.
Oh, you started saying something else though, so.
No, I voted no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Motion carries.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So then,
Back to warrants.
back to warrants. So, my little cheat sheet here. All right. So we have payroll warrants for ending in 4/14 in the amount of $8,812.56. Payroll ending in 4/21 in the amount of $10,801.40. Accounts payable 42 on 4/19 for the amount of $39,564.35. Accounts payable 42A on 4/20 for $4,184.31. Accounts payable 43 on 4/26 for $33,687.50. I'll hear a motion to approve all the warrants.
Motion to
As read.
approve all the warrants as read.
second it.
All right. We have a motion to approve all the warrants. Is there any discussion on it? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman,
Abstain.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question, or I'd like to ask a question.
Is it in
Linda?
regards to the warrants?
No, it's in regards to the agenda. Linda, could we move something even though we've already approved the agenda? I just looked down and saw road foreman blacktop plans and remembered Mr. Shuey walked in.
No,
Or, I'm sorry,
That's
Mr.
Joel.
Burrington.
Mr.
Joel,
Burrington.
sorry, Joel, sorry. Instead of making him wait until the wee hours of the morning,
I have to anyhow.
Joel, are you gonna be joining us later in contractual?
Yes, I
Right.
have to.
Okay.
right.
So he's here for the
Okay.
duration.
I just wanted to be cognizant of that.
Feel
not-
free, help yourself to the coffee.
Okay, thank you.
right.
I'm sorry, Mr. Burrington.
But to answer your question, I don't think we could move them once we've approved the
No,
agenda.
that's not so. As long as you don't add anything more to it.
So even after you approve the order, you can still jumble it around?
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Linda.
Thank
Thank
If you
you.
need to,
That was good thinking.
I'm not gonna encourage it.
I
Okay.
just looked down and I went, oh, he just
What's your button?
All right,
have to hit it.
moving on to the mail. Warrants were passed, so.
Mr. Chairman, I have 3 excess weight approvals for you. The Scott and Lee Morrison, Cummins and Son Landscaping, and Robert Green Incorporated. All are approved by the road foreman. Request you vote on those overweight permits, please.
All right, so I'll hear a motion to approve weight permits unless everybody wants to look at them again.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the weight permits.
I will second that.
All right, we have a motion to approve the excess weight permits. Any discussion on it? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Bob?
Thought you said aye.
I said aye.
Okay. All right, they're approved. Do we gotta sign them anywhere?
I'm not saying anything.
No, they're fine.
I was gonna say, I didn't see a spot to sign them earlier.
Neither did I. Just wanted
All
to
right.
make sure we didn't miss something.
Next, Mr. Chairman, I have a letter. Dear Select Board, I wish to inform you of my leaving the employment of the town of Pownell on July 14th, 2019. I wish to thank the town for the opportunity to work at the transfer station and serve the community. My departure is due to the fact we are moving to be near our daughter. We'll be leaving the area. Again, thank you. Sincerely, Bruce Lignier. I recommend that we accept with regret Mr. Lignier's resignation and thank him for his service. And I would entertain a motion to post for the new job. I've already got everything written up, ready to post.
A motion
Okay.
to post.
Well, we should accept his resignation
And to
first.
accept his
We can't post a
resignation.
job if we haven't
Sorry.
accepted the resignation.
Motion to accept his resignation.
Second it.
All right, there's a motion to accept Mr. Linger's resignation with regret. Any discussion on it? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
All right, we accept your resignation.
Unanimous.
If you're watching, Bruce, thank you for all
Yeah,
your
he's
service.
a great guy. He's a real good guy.
Wish you the best.
And then I would request a motion to fill that position. I'm ready to post for it.
Okay.
Job description, hold on, you're right.
Make a motion to advertise the position.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion to post the position vacated by the resignation of Bruce Lingner. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, all opposed? Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I request the board give me permission to attend Rivers and Roads Tier 2 workshop. It's a 16-hour environmental class, and it is on May 29th and 30th, and it is free of charge.
where's it being held?
Just I forgot what town it was.
When, how?
Bondville.
Bonneville.
Bondville.
Bradford, I thought. Yeah, what state?
Motion to approve for you to attend it.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion for Mike Walker to attend the training for, so I get it right, Rivers and Roads Tier 2 Road Scholar Workshop. Any discussion on this?
Oh, can I just ask, what's the cost?
It's
Zero.
Free.
It's free.
Oh, that's priced right.
All right, so any further discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? All right,
And the last I have is bingo in support of Meals on Wheels. It's Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. It's at the Elk Lodge, 125 Washington Avenue in Bennington. This is a very, very worthy cause, and we would hope that folks would consider supporting Meals on Wheels.
That'd be great.
And Ms. Dewar is
Hey,
here.
Bob, if we scan that into you, could you get it on the newsletter? Get it into the newsletter?
Yeah, absolutely. If there's a soft copy, it would look better.
A what?
You
a
know,
digital copy instead of a scanned copy like the original file
Oh,
created.
okay.
You can send it to me if you want.
I don't have one.
Okay.
That's what I have, and I'll put it on the calendar.
Okay, we'll try to find out who made the flyer and do the best we can to get you the real one, but it may
At
just.
the very least, you'll get
you'll
a scanned copy.
And
Uh,
Mr. Chair, that's all the mail I have.
Okay,
Okay,
it's a very worthy cause.
absolutely. This is for the Meals on, Bennington County Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, that's the one that they just started serving down here in Pownell.
Right.
All right, so that's it for mail. So, should we open up the public comment? Anybody? Anybody? No? Quiet house tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. You have something you want to say?
Just to add on.
Please introduce yourself
I'm
to the
sorry,
people at
Jenny
home.
Dewar, hi. To add on to that, just even though it's the Bennington County Meals on Wheels, Bennington County Meals on Wheels is who provides the meals to the homebound folk in Pownell who receive it and are doing the Thursday lunches. I also have 50/50 raffle tickets. They're $10. If you're interested in buying a raffle ticket from me and adding a couple of zeros, you're welcome to do that as well. But if you want to, just email me, jennydew35@gmail.com. JENNYDEW, is that okay for me to say? 35 at
Well, it's for the Meals on
gmail.com.
Wheels program.
Yeah, this is for Meals on Wheels.
Yep, for Meals on
For the
Wheels.
Meals on Wheels program.
Jenny, how many people, residents are being served?
About 30.
30?
Local
Yeah,
residents.
receive residents in, receive meals in Pownell.
And if there's more folks out there that are wondering if they qualify for this, who do they contact?
They just contact Meals on Wheels and then they fill out the paperwork. Meals on Wheels serves, and for the delivery program, I'm not sure what the requirements are. I mean, you have to be older than 60, I believe. But I
Okay.
don't know that if you need to be homebound, or I'm not sure. So call Meals on Wheels to find out about that. But for the lunches, anyone can come. If you're over
Right.
60, it's a suggested donation. If you're under 60, it's a $5 charge. But we also take $50 if you want. And
Is it cash only?
yeah, it's cash only for showing up to lunch. But you have to call ahead of time, or we won't have to do it for you. Today's meal was really good. I will say that. That's Meals on Wheels. And may I make another unless someone else.
Does anybody else have anything they want to say about?
One, but if you wanna finish.
Well, I have a different one, so go.
I just had a quick comment.
Oh, sorry.
John Bashy. I just had a quick, comment. I just wondered when, I know during the election was, two of the things were the four-wheeler riding stuff and, the town dump. I was just wondering when that was gonna come up for discussions and stuff, that people are still concerned with those two things happening, or not happening, or whatever. That, I know it was a topics that were during, the election, so I was wondering when it's gonna come up again.
The transfer station, I beg your pardon, Mr. Chairman, may I ask?
Yeah, if you've got information
What,
relevant to it.
What was the transfer station, John? What was the worry?
We were discussing it, and I had asked the board before, like, the cost that's going out right now.
Yeah.
How we're gonna cover those costs that are going out to it. and-
We are covering our costs right now, and my recommendation was to leave it where it was, and Mr. Shuey agrees with that. And we have to follow the market. As the costs go up, we have to cover our costs. But right now, we try to keep it as low as we can, just to cover our costs, and we are covering costs. But we have a capital budget and salaries. That's not covered. That comes out of tax money.
Yeah, cause Jason said on the last board, said it was nearly 80,000 over.
Yeah, that's right.
Was the number.
Yeah, it's not over.
Mhm.
It's
That's-
what is budgeted for that particular department.
That's
Um,
what's coming out of the taxes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, and the remainder
cover it.
is tipping fees and so forth. That's paid for by the passes and by payment going to the transfer station. So, he's on top of it. When he needs to raise it, he comes to me and I make a recommendation. We try to keep it as low as we can.
And I'm guessing until the state implements or provides the information regarding the food scrap
Yeah.
changes, which we don't have the information yet.
No, we have the information, but we don't have specific details.
the
But
details,
he's been taking.
That's gonna,
He does take
increase
it.
things.
He takes it already. He does take
Right.
food scraps already.
but we're not doing it per the new guidelines,
Right.
which is gonna be a whole different thing.
Yes, we met with the state on that, so Tom, believe me, Tom really knows his business. He's pretty impressive with that, so we'll keep you informed if anything changes. What was the other one, sir?
Four-wheelers.
The
I have some
four-wheelers.
input
I-
on that.
For trail riding roads and that kind of stuff, they wanna know what they're able to be doing.
When we passed the traffic ordinance, there was a section in on ATVs. And if you have something you would like to pass or like an idea, present it to me and I'll write it up and bring it before the board.
And Ray Rodriguez is doing the recreational committee that meets, I think, the second Tuesday of every month. They're supposed to be meeting next month to discuss that and just get options with trails, and he has ideas, and just to collaborate and see what can be done.
Thank you.
And we're also, oh, go ahead, Fred.
I think there was a little
Oh,
bit.
sorry. Please introduce yourself to the viewers at home.
There was some interest also in expanding the roads that you can legally ride a four-wheeler on in town.
Availability.
Currently, there's just a few up on the eastern side of Powell, I think, where you can ride regular four-wheelers.
I think that's something
A
we
lot of
should
people
look
still
into
do
too.
ride
I-
on just about all the roads.
I'm perfectly okay with that. I mean, we have to make sure it doesn't drop the classification of a road, then it impacts our DOT funding from the state. It wouldn't?
No.
But that would have been my only concern. I
No, it
mean, I'm
doesn't.
fine with
I think
opening
at
up,
one time it was
opening up
legal
dedicated
for
roads.
all roads.
The
I mean-
theory
Well,
is
it's
a lot of
separate
people
separate.
are
Right.
doing it. But
Well-
they're driving really fast
Right,
because
there
they're
needs to
afraid
be
they're gonna get
rules.
caught.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
gosh,
they're
yeah.
hurrying to get from point A to point B.
Well, I mean, I know like on vacation where I just went Myrtle Beach, like the entire downtown area, you can ride golf carts up and down the roads. It's perfectly legal. Like so I would see no reason with trying to do something similar.
Just
And
with
I
some
would
of the roads
imagine it
in
would be the
Pownell.
same thing, with the side-by-sides, not just
Mm-hmm.
quads.
And I'd be happy to write something up, the gentleman come and bring me
Right,
what
just,
they're
you
looking
know,
at. I'll
the only
put that-
requirement maybe be, you know, they have to be registered, you know, something like
Registered
that.
and insured, I would think.
Registered and
Yes.
insured, yeah.
Suggestion to other four-wheeler groups and stuff, the ones that are out riding now, is that if they got an insurance, and a registration, so that'd be legal for a road.
Right, because that'd be liable.
If they did that, then possibly we could have some kind of $5 stamp or something here, that would be a visual stamp that they could put on back, so that if an officer is driving behind them or sees them, they can see that stamp that says.
And
hey,
those are
I'm
all ideas
registered
that Ray
and-
had too, so, yeah,
Right.
you should.
Because right now.
So you should try to make it
You should
to,
try to make that meeting.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I know Ray's always eager to get more input and
Yeah.
more volunteers to help.
And to Fred's point, I don't mind it, I just really worry about the speed. There's been too many close calls and there's been a couple off-road incidences where they've missed the corner because they were going too fast. And,
Theoretically, there would still probably be a few outlaws that are gonna speed, but there'd be
That's
a
true,
lot less.
outlaws and regular cars.
Just
Yeah, I was
Right.
gonna say,
Take it easy, maybe even require a helmet.
Yes.
You know, stuff like that.
You want
yeah, that's all
Right.
stuff we
Save
could try to
lives.
address.
language and get it to me, and
But-
I'll draft
I'll
something.
write down some notes.
Okay,
I have to
perfect.
admit, I am impressed with the number of people that I do see on all the time. The majority of them do have helmets on. I mean, I'm,
Well, I think right now a lot of that is so they can't be identified. I mean,
The registration, the plate.
okay.
Elizabeth.
I guess now I'm not surprised.
What color is your helmet?
mine's black.
Good
But-
point.
no, all jokes aside, it is something that we all, the current board, I think we're not opposed to it. We're in favor of it. It's just crafting the idea and getting something before us and getting the right groups involved to help make it happen.
But
So-
nothing's been brought to us yet.
By all means, feel free to jump in and
Yeah.
get involved with some of the groups to help spearhead it. Any volunteer help is greatly appreciated with any of the issues facing town. The more help we get, the better on everything.
The biggest thing, John, is make sure they're respectful of the roads, so we don't grade a road and the people are out doing their own.
And the
So-
trash.
And then
Right, and
the
we
trash.
Definitely have that, definitely. be-
Yeah, it's one of those things, you know. If
Trash,
we
garbage, and
create it
tailgating.
and people respect it, it'll stay going. But if it gets abused and destroyed, then
Right.
obviously we would have to take it away.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
Bob,
Thank
anything?
you for bringing that up.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
just a suggestion is that we leave it as unrestricted as possible. I mean, of course, we want them to be registered, have helmets, but if we're writing a policy, I think we shouldn't. I would shy away from putting our own restrictions on it and say something like adhere to all state and county safety and registration requirements. Because you already can't drive one on the road without it being registered anywhere.
I could always break it out and make an ATV ordinance.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, reach out to the VCLT, you know, League of
Yeah,
Cities
I've
and
got
Towns and
something.
see if they have something.
I've got
Right.
something,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, if I don't, I mean, you can even reach out to like what the snowmobile groups up in like Woodford do.
Like I said, I got a couple of them.
Yeah, there's already been someone down almost every year to check to see the progress Pownell made or hasn't made.
So let's get it done.
And you
Let's
were
not
for
wait
state,
another
though,
20
and I think
years.
we
Yeah.
should by not doing the state, making our own. Yeah.
I got a note, I'll start working on it.
We're gonna be
Alright,
the
cool.
board of do,
Thank you,
not
Mike.
the board of
Got it.
kick it
Thank
down
you for
the road.
bringing it up,
Thank you.
John.
Thank you, John.
All right, Ms. Dewar?
I have 3 different things, so if anyone has something else, I can take turns. But first, thank you to the road crew for the work on Carpenter Hill Road. Second, you can probably speak more to this, but baseball starts on Saturday.
Yeah, opening day is Saturday at the Route 346 field.
Yeah.
It starts at 9. Our TA, Mr. Walker, will be throwing out the first pitch. So everybody come on down and cheer him on and boo him if he doesn't make it all the way to home plate.
I'm going with high heat.
Should we
Kids,
be
kids
sent,
wear a helmet, right? when you-
Oh, thanks, Fred. My pal over
helmets,
here.
face
My
shields,
pal,
no
my friend
pressure,
Fred, yeah.
elbow
Pressure.
guards?
So-
Should we send a letter of thanks to the McLenithans for doing all that work on the infield and the
Yeah, they did a
clay
lot.
that they brought in and all that?
They did a lot.
Yeah,
of work.
and we're gonna be speaking to that. But to piggyback on Jenny, I just wanted to also say this. We're doing a bottle and can drive down there opening day. So if you have any redemption bottles or cans and you want to donate them, the money goes directly toward Pownell Youth Baseball. And all the money goes toward helping fund the league. And we keep it as low cost as possible. Pretty much all we ask for donations is just to cover our insurance. Everything else is
Bottles
through
and cans.
donations and fundraisers.
Okay.
Not to,
When is it? It's
I'm
this
involved in it,
Saturday?
so that's why I got an invested interest.
Saturday? At what
And my
time?
last one is
Saturday at 9.
more on the more serious thing. We had an election this past Tuesday, and it wasn't just Pownell, all 4 towns. There were only about 400 people who voted, and it's because people didn't know. And I know it's not the select board's responsibility to promote elections, but there is a town newsletter that's reporting business on the town. And I don't believe there was anything big splash, there's an election telling us what it is. On the website, there was a note, please vote, and you clicked on it, and it just said, this is how to do your absentee ballots. So I was hunting, I was like, what's the vote for? And so I had to hunt around to try and find out what it was for. And we shouldn't have to hunt, we should know there's an election.
How far in advance do, elections like that get warned?
Weeks.
I honestly,
I think
Not
Glenda
less
can
than
answer
30
that.
30
days,
days,
not
yeah.
more than 40.
I'm just wondering if it was out before Bob sent out
It
the
was.
last, okay.
Yeah, it actually was not on the calendar, and it wasn't there before the newsletter went out. But to Jenny's point, an election absolutely warrants a special edition, and I should have done it.
Okay.
did we not get notified by the school? Or the school board? Or
You were notified from your town clerk.
Yeah.
But not really.
no, I didn't.
I had to dig to find out and then call and say,
Well,
what's
we
the
didn't
I don't
see
think
you
it
there
told us.
voting.
No,
Must have
you
missed
didn't,
you.
Linda, because I was dealing with a family emergency.
So,
Uh,
I think to Jenny's point, if you look at the calendar, when you first log in and it's got a calendar on
Yep.
the
Yes.
website,
Right.
it was not it was not there on,
No, it wasn't.
at the beginning of April when I took that screenshot. Oh, when I took that information. So we
Well,
know.
as long as we, at the very least, did the minimum legal requirements to warn it on the bulletin board and the public places, we met our legal requirement. But I do
Yeah.
agree with Jenny that we could do better on getting more information out to the public, and not just on this vote, but everything in general.
And it's not just
we've
Pownell,
all
it was
spoke to
in
this
all
that we
4
are
towns.
we
It's
are
not
working
just
on trying to
Pownell.
improve that. I think the low voter turnout, in my opinion, is also people expressing their frustration
Oh, I
with
don't-
what the state is
I don't
mandating against
disagree with that,
mandating it.
but I did say to people, do you know about an election? And they said, what election? So, because I was baffled that I didn't know about an election.
Right.
So, Mike, you had something?
May I talk to the clerk on your behalf and discuss how it's done and offer any help to discuss it in the future?
Yeah.
Or to actually
I'm fine
promote
with
it,
that.
we need to make sure.
Yeah.
And this is by no means an attack on.
No,
on
not at
our
all,
town.
It's
not at all.
criticism.
Yeah, no, I
It's
just want to
just
check
no
with her
one
and see
feels
what we can do to help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right, so just, in the future,
Yeah.
like, I know it's not the
Moving forward.
select
and if she's got
board's
any
job, you can
ideas
help.
on how we can better reach the public,
Yeah.
we're all ears.
Yeah,
Right.
even
And
like,
that goes for
saying
any
it on
suggestions.
television,
Right.
anything.
Had I not
She
seen
had
it on
volunteers in
Facebook-
here stuffing envelopes and stuff.
I had
like
an
that, yeah.
individual approach me at Price Chopper the other day saying she thinks the town of Pownell should have an official Facebook page, but I don't know if that would be.
I think
legal.
that with
I don't
more discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should have more
like I said,
discussion another day.
people are throwing out ideas. That's all I was saying.
That's a very good idea. We started, keeping everything compacted, and we can expand as much as you want.
Okay.
We have-
All right.
Okay.
So did you have anything else, Ms. Stewart?
No.
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks,
Any more public comment?
Don't forget your sweater.
Thank you. Bye.
Gives her a reason to come back.
You too.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
All right, so if there's no more public comment, we'll move on.
I have a quick insurance update. We're insured by Passive, Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, and currently we only have 2 open cases. They're very minor. A property damage to a sign and a damaged vehicle, but backing up. We did have a claim, and Joel and I have to find out where it is. On Strohmeyer Road, a young man crashed and destroyed a culvert, and we expect subjugation from their insurance company. And we called several times, and we're trying to look for, Joel, do you have any insight on that, where that is?
No, I had to send them another estimate from an outside contractor, and I did that.
They didn't take ours?
They took ours. and
Okay.
They wanted one more.
Okay.
Their
Yeah.
insurance company.
It's
the other
taking a long
insurance
time, but we want to get that
So,
fixed.
it's in the works, I
Right.
think.
Yeah. But it's not, it doesn't show up on the claim form yet, so it's not being actually addressed. This report is activity period from January 2/15 to the end of March. Right now, we've incurred up $140,866.24. We are, what we pay is based upon what's called a mod. It's a number. 1 and lower is really good. We're at 1.27, which means our premiums are a little bit higher. And that's due to a single injury, personal injury. But we try to keep that mod low so that we don't have to pay out as much as in premium. But that mod, that particular case that we had, that 140,000 claim, that should be gone next year, and our mod should drop back to 1 or less. They told me roughly 0.85 will be next year. But we have
How
a
much of an
safety-
impact on our premium is that?
Yeah, we have a new town safety plan. We do safety checks, vehicle checks, building checks, and we have a safety committee where we review near misses and accidents. Were they act of God? Were they a personal problem, personal, what do you call it, mistake, or was it equipment mistake? So that's where we are with insurance. If you ever have any question, I'd be happy to discuss it more with you individually.
I
Okay.
believe the mod that he's talking about is the formula the insurance companies
Correct.
use.
Right.
Yes, the
Yes.
formula. I beg your
Based
pardon. Yes, it
on-
is the formula.
Based on the number of
Right.
Claims.
claims.
Mhm.
But that's
It
for
can
workman's
increase
comp,
your
right?
insurance by 10%.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because this is such a small office, one injury could really
Yeah.
wreak havoc.
And
on the mod.
we do cover the fire department and the rescue squad. So we cover those folks too. Do you have a copy of the budget, the budget update?
Yep.
Yep.
If you were to look at the notes that I gave you, Linda was a big help with this. We find that we have overages from the weather, and they're pretty obvious. Storm damage, downed trees, we have fuel oil, grease, administrative things. So we're over budget in several areas. With explanations off to the side. Now, the good news is that talking to the treasurer, we have undesignated fund balance of $202,000. And I've talked to her, and we're going to be okay. Right now, for as many, I think we're 40 weeks into maybe we got 10 or 12 weeks left in the budget season. So we're like on track as a total. But everyone's done a very good job of keeping it down as best as they can. Just for example, in audit fund, we had 2 audits in 1 year. That made that go over.
Yep.
And we had a tax sale, a property tax sale on the capital fund. That's over. IT, we had real problems with rack space storage, NIMR, and server issues. So that took a lot of time. He did work hard on that. If you look at the access, TV access, that was half of a payment that we agreed to pay after the budget was passed. It's in the next fiscal year budget. The other is, well, for example, backhoe repairs on transfer station. I believe, Joel, that thing has all new hydraulics on it now, right? Pretty much.
Well, it's got a lot of them,
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
replace them as they.
Right. One of the missions I have for Mr. Shuey is to build a garage. Nothing fancy, but any capital equipment I want it undercover. I don't want capital equipment out in the sun, out in the rain, out in the snow. It's not worth it. It's a lot of money, and I'd rather keep them.
What happened to the other one that was there, the pole barn?
The pole, it's still there. Oh, you talking about the one down in?
At the transfer station?
It's there.
No, it's gone.
It's gone.
There's
Find the fittings.
mill vans in that area now. There used to be a pole barn right there. They used to put the backhoe under, and they could plug it in and charge it.
I wasn't aware of that.
And so
Was that down by the
no,
dumpsters?
no, it was up adjacent to the swap shack.
Huh.
And
Right now, there's just,
I
It was
heard
like
it,
right next to where you put the tires.
right.
that's where it's gonna go, yeah.
And someone told me something happened and we had an insurance situation there, so I don't know the whole story yet. I was gonna talk to Tom about it,
Yeah,
so they can
I'll
get
talk to you
some more
offline about
feedback.
that, because it's not been there since I've been here.
but it was there.
Okay,
You know,
I take your word for it. I want another one.
Right, well, it makes
Just gotta
sense.
make sure it's gonna be
Protect
covered by the insurance.
Well, that's
And
what,
somehow,
well,
the
that's-
insurance costs went up because the transfer station wasn't covered for some reason. They left it off, and we corrected that, so that's an additional premium.
well, I mean, we need to find out where the ball got dropped, if it was the
Yeah, I
case
wanna
of,
find that out too. It's the first time hearing
insurance
of it.
needs to cover that, or if, what happened.
Yeah, it's a complete surprise. I didn't know it existed, where it went. But we're
Right in
gonna,
that corner.
okay,
All right, so yeah, so get together, take that offline.
yep.
All right,
So,
thank you.
bottom line is, we have some areas that were over, but everybody's doing a real good job of towing the line.
Yeah, it looks like the big hitter dollar amount wise was just for the all the added expense from the winter,
Absolutely.
which completely understandable. And
Mother
Joel,
Nature.
your crew did a fantastic job this
Yeah,
winter and this
sure
mud
did.
season. So
It's
thank you for all the hard work.
It's an estimate. You can't predict.
Yeah, you don't know what kind of winter we're gonna have.
Taking notes here, I beg your pardon. Okay. If there are no questions,
I don't have any other questions on it.
No, thanks for your explanations.
no
Well,
problem.
actually, no, I take that back.
Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed before for equipment for the transfer station. Let's see if I can find it again.
It's the backhoe. Backhoe.
Yeah, the
Second time.
the budget is only $100
Yeah.
a year that we're budgeting.
Well,
That kind of seems a little low
Well,
if we're going to
yeah,
be running older equipment.
I would like to look at, I can't give you our next fiscal year budget, which we
Yeah, I
wrote.
think that's something
Yeah.
we might want to address. I mean, I don't want to raise the budget on everything, but I think something more realistic for repairs is in order.
On that point, Brian, we pretty much maintain the backhoe for the transfer station anyhow. So oil changes, that's on us, fuel, that's on us. They do a fuel log and we send it in,
Okay.
but most of the maintenance on that is grease, they come over and grease it.
Yeah. Well, I know, like you said,
Except
you've been
for-
replacing hydraulic lines, and I know,
Hydraulic.
Tires.
If they have to,
Yeah.
yeah.
if they have to do a tire, that's usually on them. They blow a tire. So you might wanna think again about.
Will $100 buy us a tire?
No.
No,
Well, that'd be a repair to like a front tire possibly.
maybe.
Yeah, I used one.
Yeah.
Tire costs you $600-800 for a real
Yeah.
tire. Easy.
That's why I was saying, I think during when we go to do the budget this coming year, I think that's something we're going to have to reevaluate.
He has plenty of money in his equipment fund
Okay.
Okay,
if we need it.
Yes.
Okay.
okay. Thanks, Linda.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for noticing that.
All right.
Next, Mr. Chairman, we request to commence work on access to the hiking trail. That work can be explained by Mr. Burrington. We met with all the alphabet soup agencies on how we're going to make that access work. We've got,
Perhaps for the viewers and the citizens, you should be specific on where the access is.
okay. Tell you what, you're probably better at describing the access than I am. Would you mind?
Yeah, it's off from Woods Road.
Right.
But this is the access to the Strobridge recreational
Right.
property,
So we have
former tannery land.
roughly
Yes.
600 acres of hiking.
That's what I
trails.
wanted clarification on for
Yeah.
people at home, so they know what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
Yeah,
And we've looked at it, and Joel's determined that they can do it. They can put that path back in there again. And I just found out today that the Recreation Committee's trying to work something out with the dollars, with the grant they already have, to maybe have the kids come down and make that not just, I guess what they do is they either gravel or they let logs or something like that to make it more of a,
Well, I know they're trying to work with the group to do the walking path that they
Right.
got the permits
that's
for.
the same, that's the same.
Same group, but-
Same group, yeah. And I just got an email today that they're trying to do something with the funds, that they cross over and do that. And I have been online with forestries at the state, and they're going to give me some information on what we could do to make that a better trail. But it'll be open, and if you allow us to do it, everything's in line, everything's done, we just have to get that,
it's basically gonna be hiking.
yeah, for right now.
It's not gonna be, a real nice road to take logs out of and everything. It's gonna be just a rough in
Walking and hiking.
path. to
But
go
it gets,
over.
it gets the public access to the
Right.
land
Yeah,
that
Yes.
was
yes.
voted on and we purchased 12 years ago,
Yeah.
so
Right.
I'm ecstatic to hear this.
I am too. yeah.
What's the
So
recreation
everybody's,
thing called?
I'm sorry,
What was that land called?
it's the Strobridge Recreation.
Strobridge Recreation.
and people are concerned, the land trust, they're right next to us with this. They're thrilled that we're getting open access to it, so.
Harry, you got something?
I'll just say, so right now you're working on getting the trails that it set up usable for trails. Are we looking for future access to widen that so we can, service it, log it? Do like a choice
That might
logging is
be,
what,
it might be tough.
The thing with the rivers,
yeah.
streams and rivers people, it has to be natural, what's up there for soils and stuff we put back in.
Right.
We can't really bring in gravel.
Right.
You could maybe put some logs down to build it up, but this is basically just for now.
No, that's,
It's probably a couple $1,000s for a bulldozer and a little backhoe, and we're just gonna take it down.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
And then we'll get the word out.
In the future, if we wanna do something more,
yeah.
then we can get together and talk about it and explore options.
One step at a time.
One
As
step,
long
yeah.
as we
Yeah.
can get public access to it for at least hiking and
It's-
recreation.
Going right back in where it came out of. I mean,
Yep.
we're not moving it. We don't have to ask permission.
We already have the right of way.
Yep, we
That's
do.
right.
Awesome.
Yep.
John?
Thank you.
One of the things, I don't know if it's under any state regulation on that either, cause like land trust stuff, cause I know they have restrictions on logging and things like that too, under land trusts.
But,
In the regulations for the land trust for that property up there,
Right.
it's, as they've said, it's unlike any other land trust that is in the state of Vermont with what the allowances we've got permission to do up there, so.
Right. the select,
There's a lot we're gonna be allowed to do up there. You have to kinda go through the proper steps to do it, but there's a lot that can be done up
Right.
there.
yeah, the select board at the time did due diligence
Yeah.
on that part.
One other quick thing on it, I know there's people who ride up in from other directions, there's
Yep.
trails that go all over that. How does that affect those riders and stuff up there that go in there now?
As far as all that,
Is
that's,
that
that's
access
something
for
that
them
we're gonna
too,
have to
or-
deal with at a later date. I mean,
I mean,
the
it's
land
solely
trust has
hiking right
rules set
now,
up
or
as
is
far
it-
as trail usage.
Right.
And that's something, once we establish access, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
In our access too, the fellow was a little jittery about people riding by him and stuff. Let's start out.
Foot
Yeah.
traffic access
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
vehicular.
And then
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
from
Let's make
there.
it safe for people to at least walk up in there and be able to have access
Well,
to hunt it.
I'm just saying, cause it's opening it up, that people are gonna wanna come out that way now, cause they ride up in there from other directions now.
Yeah.
So if they see it's open, they might go, hey, we're open to,
I think those are issues we're gonna have to address as a later date as they come up.
Right, because that may
Thank you.
turn into a erosion control issue.
So,
Mhm.
anyway, but thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
All right. What else you got for us, Mike?
Next is zoning and health officer. I gave you
Mhm.
some documentation. I've been in touch with.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Did you need us to approve to
Yeah, if you
commence the
would.
work?
Oh, that's
I was
right,
gonna say,
yeah.
because we never actually voted
I-
on
I'd
that.
like to make a motion to allow Michael, allow our town administrator to commence the work, on access to the hiking trail.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion to approve the request for the commence work on the hiking trail. Is there any more discussion on that?
Oh, Harry just corrected me. I said town administrator. Do I have to say Mr. Burrington?
I'm not sure.
I think you could just say for the town,
For the
Yeah,
town.
I'm the guy.
because it's not
who's
gonna be just Joel up there running a shovel or Mike up there with a shovel.
That's right.
Although I would love to see that.
I'm not always in my Sunday go to meetings.
You can use the golden shovel down at the wastewater.
But anyway, if you wanna redo the,
Linda, do I need to restate it?
No, I don't
No,
think
allow
so.
the
Okay.
town
It's
to
fine.
commence work.
Okay.
all right, so we have a motion and a second. I asked if there was further discussion. Any discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor of approving the request to commence work on the hiking access trail, say aye.
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 All opposed? All right. You have your permission.
Thank you. You have basically directed me to do a lot more with enforcing zoning and health laws. And coming up, we're gonna have both openings. Well, we do have a health opening, which I hope to fill as a deputy. Looking for strategies on how to make that happen. Now, it's perfectly legal to put the health officer and the zoning administrator in the same job. They're appointed differently. You have to keep that in mind. But I've laid out for you, essentially, they get a stipend and different options for how we draft that, how many hours we have that individual work. And what we'd like to do is keep track via a log of some sort, what the hours are for each particular discipline.
More accountability for it.
Yeah, so if there's 8 hours a week that they're working health and maybe 2 hours a week on zoning, then, we can adjust next year.
I know I would like to see more accountability on permit approval
Well,
for zoning.
that's part of what this is, that we, whoever we hire, say, look, this is what we're expectation of you. Here's how much money you're gonna make and the expectation of how many hours we expect that you, at a minimum, put in. It's perfectly reasonable to do that when someone's under a stipend.
That's
And have the expectation that when someone calls with an issue, that's addressed. So in the interim, I'll be doing health, but I'd like to see it, and I would recommend that we combine those two, combine the stipend, and then look at strategies for the next, not this next fiscal year, but the fiscal year after, of maybe putting additional dollars on the salary and expanding that if it's necessary.
Based on the feedback.
I was
Based
gonna
on
say,
the
what, do you know what the current stipends are?
$300 a piece, so it'd be.
Is that
so-
a year, a week, a month?
That's a month,
Okay. And that's 300 each.
correct.
300 a
Did you
month.
see that email? Sorry, I'm marked all over it.
All right.
If I could chime in, just say, I think we got to be really cautious of expanding because, what I heard was sometime in the future we're setting this up to make it a larger position, and that's just going to cost our taxpayers more. I do see a downside to from the point of view of checks and balances. I mean, if you're a zoning administrator and you're trying to get somebody to clean up their lawn and they're not very cooperative, I could just see it saying, well, suppose I make it a health issue then you have to do it. I think there needs to be we have to be careful that we're not biting off.
I don't understand.
We're not losing some of our checks and balances.
If you're using two hats, they're wearing two hats.
Right,
Oh.
but you can't make something a health issue unless it
A health issue.
is
Unless
a
it
health
is.
issue as
Yeah.
outlined by the state of Vermont.
Right.
But I think
So-
what Bob's saying is he just,
But there is subjectivity associated with that, right? And it just seems to me that it's one person with too much power. And unless there's a compelling reason to really combine these things, and to switch over from stipend to hourly, why are we looking to change things unless there's really a compelling reason to do it? I don't see the compelling reason.
We're not,
We're not changing anything this year, Bob. We're combining the two, and there is, to my mind, I've been given compelling reasons why it needs to happen by pictures and complaints that I have on my desk. So, you know, and basically demand from the public that they want things done, they want things enforced. So at a minimum, we want to, with the funds we have, make it so that we're actually doing the job, getting out there and doing the job, answering the complaints, and doing what's supposed to be done according to everything that exists now, no expansion. And then at the end of the fiscal year, we can examine it and determine what we might want to do in the next fiscal year, and that may be nothing. But if we don't have data to back up what we're doing, and we don't do anything, well, you know, going forward,
can't go forward till you have the data to look at to
Right,
see what the
yeah,
need is
yeah.
actual.
Right. Tonight, we're only looking to appoint you as
To post it,
deputy.
right.
right,
To post a position and appoint you as a deputy or an
Correct.
assistant health officer.
right.
Nothing to do with
Combine
zoning.
the post and health.
That, but
Right.
Right.
it's up to you. I've laid out what I think are proposals to combine those. Take your time.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but I'm saying, right now, we have a zoning person.
No. Well, yes, we do.
Yeah,
Yes, we
Mr.
do. It's
Mr.
expired.
Brownell.
Mr. Brownell.
It expires in June.
Right.
Yep.
So
We
July
have not
1st.
received a letter, so that's a null subject right now, is what I'm trying to say.
No, it's not.
It's a future subject.
That's why I'm
Okay.
pondering these proposals.
Okay.
Right.
We're having a discussion.
Yeah, he's just putting the idea out
Right.
there that we
Right.
might want to
Like, I'm
consider
just,
doing
I
that.
wanna clarify, and I
Yeah.
think that's where Bob was,
It,
Yeah, no, in the future, we
The way it
we
was-
might need to consider, as Mr. Walker stated, we might need to consider expanding it if, after we get the data after the first year, if we're seeing that 8 hours a week is not enough to address all the
correct.
things that are coming in, and they're gonna have to sit. They're not gonna get addressed until the individual has
No.
time to address, then
and
you readdress it.
Mr. Brownell, in conversation with me, I won't speak on his behalf, but he's talked about the expiration of his term.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what he may, it's up to him what he wants to do. But what I'm looking at on your behalf is to try to figure out a way to be more efficient,
Right.
to get the job done. Because we're getting a demand from the public,
Mhm.
do our jobs. And that's what we're trying to do. And I have to do that within the confines of the existing budget.
And right now,
Right.
that's not gonna cost us any more money because they're
We're already
both
spending it.
stipend.
We're spending
Well,
it.
and they're both stipend,
Right,
so it's not coming from us, it's.
Right.
Right.
it's already
Right.
budgeted.
Mr.
From the state.
Mr. Miller has,
Do we have, examples of other towns that have done, that can combine both roles?
Yes and no. I discussed it with Vermont Leagues of Cities and Town and our attorney, and it's perfectly acceptable and normal. Do I have citations of actual towns that have done it? No, I don't.
I was just wondering if there was anecdotal data,
No, it's,
pros and
it,
cons of doing that.
yeah,
Right.
there was given specific legal language on it that it can
Right.
be done. And I'm,
Did they recommend in any way?
no, they didn't recommend it. I'm basically looking at what my options are
Yeah.
Right.
with what I've got.
Right.
And that's right now, really, I think, the only option. Do it, keep it the way we're doing it, combine them, and give them an expectation of hours,
Right.
and track their activity. So it doesn't cost any more money,
Tracking the activity is important.
very much important.
Especially when you get, complaints from community members saying it took 3 months to get a permit to put a deck on your house. Because they couldn't get in touch with to get their permits. The anecdotal information that we did get, Fred, it wasn't necessarily combined positions, but we learned a lot about a lot of towns that share the same officers, the same appointees. And so it's more beneficial for those individuals because they're spreading their time out and working 30 hours a week for multiple towns. So they're pulling in a larger stipend because they're, amongst 3-4 towns that they're assisting.
And I did call neighboring towns
Yeah.
for just that, and there was no interest in that.
So,
So,
Another question is, the added responsibilities, how would that impact your current role?
I don't know.
That's more a question for you guys, I mean.
I think we'd have to be more specific.
Yeah, we need to have
Expectations
a
are.
health inspector appointed ASAP.
Right.
And so we have to deputize Mr. Walker tonight in order for us to move forward with some items.
Right.
But then we'll be
As
warning
soon as
it
we
and-
can warn it.
That's an interim.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's just
yeah.
temporary.
Yeah, no,
I'll
it's
say
just
that- I'll say
temporary.
deputy, just
Yeah.
in case it's needed. I'll say deputy.
Yeah.
I've done it before. So.
Yeah,
One thing, if I could, or actually, I'll wait till you call on me.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that, we have to be careful of anecdotally as well. I mean, it is our responsibility to, as a select board and as the elected officials, to make sure that we're enforcing these rules, the zoning laws, and the health office, and the health. But it's also our duty to protect the rights of our citizens.
Right.
So just because people are complaining and want us to do something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. We have to balance those two.
but
You know, at what point do you cross the line, and at what point does it become a violation? And so I'm a little cautious of hearing that people are complaining, therefore we are required to do something and enforce these laws. Well, yeah, let's enforce them, but let's make sure that we're not being overzealous as well.
I
Well-
completely agree, and I can't determine it's a violation unless I'm legally able to enter the property. And if it's not if it's perfectly legal, it's perfectly legal. There's not a thing I can do about it. I have to follow the law. I can't make that up as I go along. When people give a complaint, it's often not grounded in law. It's often, you go back to them and say, look, it's perfectly legal for that person to do that. I did one yesterday, basically, individual complaining about a neighbor doing something, and that neighbor had a legal permit, perfectly legal to do what they were doing. And that was my response to that complaint, and that's exactly what we're supposed to do.
Yep.
All right, yeah, that's good. That's good, and that's. I mean, I think we're saying the same thing. I just want to make sure that we're not just. It also goes back to my original comment about being somewhat of a checks and balances to keep them separate. I'm still an advocate of keeping them separate and not combining zoning with health officer. But that's where I am with it. If we're not really taking action on that, I'll argue that point at some later date.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank
Fair
you.
enough.
Thank you, Bob.
That's all the questions.
Are we giving him permission to post?
Well, that's what I was gonna.
Well, I
Yeah.
think we're
I mean, that's
appointing,
Pointing me
request permission to post for a health officer.
Right.
and
And then separate, appointing him deputy health officer.
Right.
That's what I was asking. if
So
I
we have to
followed
make
the
a
question.
motion
Motion.
to,
Yeah, so
Allow
do
him.
the request for posting.
okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we allow the town of Pownell to post for a health officer.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to authorize permission to post for a health officer. Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Unanimous.
Okay.
And paperwork is filled out. Ms. Rowe was acting chair. Request permission to have you vote that appoint me as deputy health inspector or health officer, and
Let me see, I didn't get a chance to see this.
I'll send that to the state and I'll be sworn in by the clerk.
Okay.
What's the
Okay.
timeline that they usually take to swear you
It's
in?
I'll be appointed on the 1st of May. I
Okay.
have to get the paperwork in.
So what? Just a quick question on that. I know we haven't had a town administrator in the past, but I believe in the past when there's been a vacancy like this, particularly the health officer, I believe the process was the chair. The chair of that would be you, Brian.
Yes, it does default to the chair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're correct.
It does, but we also have the right to be able to nominate somebody else in the meantime,
Unless
or to
somebody else
appoint
wants to
somebody else.
Step up.
So I believe that is what we're doing, is we're exercising that right to appoint somebody who can dedicate more time to it.
Mm-hmm.
If I wasn't employed full-time, I'd be more than happy to tackle the responsibility. So, all right, so, any more discussion on that? Well, I mean, we still gotta do the motion in a second.
I mean, I make a motion to nominate Michael Walker as interim deputy health officer.
I'll second that.
Alright, so we have a motion to appoint Mike Walker, our town administrator, as deputy health officer. Any discussion on that? Further discussion? Alright, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
So, do
Alright,
you
so,
oppose, or are you a,
No, I was aye.
okay,
Aye.
I just ver,
You're
okay.
saying close this.
well, I just
Alright, you already signed it, everything's, okay.
wanted to verify, clarify.
And we already appointed, or you already gave me permission to post for the transfer station.
Yep.
Intended position.
And Swaying seniors have asked permission if we take possession of the buses from the elementary school, if they would be allowed to rent them. The only question I would have to clear up would be insurance. And if we're covered, we're covered. I don't know whether it's children or what.
Well, I was
For
gonna say that
sure.
would be the question, are we covering the insurance, or will
No,
we
we're covered.
require them to
Well,
take out a
If-
policy
They're
for the day or
asking,
whatever?
we could always say, hey, $50 or cover the cost of the driver and the fuel type of thing. But as far as insurance, they'll be insured. So, Joel, the insurance covers us, we can take anybody, right, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter whether we're taking seniors, we're taking children, or, but,
Harry,
yeah.
as of right now, have we taken ownership,
No.
registered and insured? We have done nothing yet.
Nothing, no.
First,
So-
July, I'm thinking.
July
Right around
1st?
there, because I think usually the rec program starts about the 5th.
Okay,
So we need to figure it out and get our ducks in a row, if that's what.
so who do we need to contact?
I
Or
just
the
gotta
school to-
I just gotta get the insurance going. I'll come back, you get permission to do that.
Yeah,
We've
we
got
gotta
a
get the
quote.
titles from the
Correct.
school
Yeah.
and all that
Title
prior
sign
to
over,
it.
inspect, make sure inspections are
Right.
done.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, before we,
Marlena has a question after.
so if they wanna use it after said date, I mean, our priority is gonna be to the kids, correct? As
That
far
would
as
be
the
up to you,
use?
the
Is
town's
that-
buses.
Is that what?
Yeah, well, I mean, right
You
now,
know,
I
the
think
school
this is our
program, or
first
the
official
summer-
request for use of the
Right.
buses.
I don't
I
think-
didn't know how, well, that's why I say there's not a date on there.
So that was my question, Brian, if I can speak.
I didn't see a date.
Yeah, go for it.
So, the question was answered that the kids aren't out of school and we're not technically taking over those buses until after the kids'
Right.
summer program is done.
No,
No, no, no.
before,
After
Or
the
before,
school year.
right, after the school year.
after school.
Correct, yes.
After the school year ends.
The question I have though is, there's been no discussion, so as a board, I think we have to put it on the agenda at some point in time to come up with a plan.
Right.
What are the fees going to be? Who takes priority? When are the buses gonna be operating? Is it Monday through Friday? 8 AM to 4 PM?
And
Or
Are
just
they
an
allowed on
advice
the
call.
weekends, you know?
Yeah, that
what-
probably is something we
I
should address.
feel a
in-
I mean, there's
policy
absolutely
coming around.
nothing.
Oh, yeah.
It kinda looks that way, Mike.
Are we
Feel a
gonna-
policy coming
Are
around.
we gonna need a couple
Get your
of per
typing
diem
fingers ready.
employees that are
Who are the bus
driver
drivers?
qualified?
Joel has
If
something.
I could just speak.
So,
Right now, they have a driver that specifically, that's all she runs is M2 buses.
okay,
The school has 2 other licensed drivers that they can fill in too. I think if the town takes them over, we'll just roll them over into our employment. Now, they also do a lot of trips for the daycare, Oak Hill. Oak Hill pays the driver's salary in the time they do their trips and gives them a stipend for fuel.
okay.
I think we base it on 5 miles to a gallon, so they keep track of the mileage and they get a stipend on that. And that'll also, I think you'll find, they'll want to use the buses sometimes too. So.
Town hall staff junkets.
Now,
you know.
Yeah.
what we gotta look at when we do that is, as far as because they're not gonna be full-time employees, they're gonna be
No.
it's gonna be a per
Part-time.
diem, basically.
Part-time,
And
Right.
so, depending on the amount of hours per year is whether or
Rental
not.
fees, all that
Well,
stuff
as far
needs
as
to come out of
insurances
that.
and
So I
that.
Yeah,
think
so-
I need
have
to
a
sit
plan.
with Joel and get some of the.
Try to
dates.
figure out an
Yeah.
estimated usage
Right.
schedule.
Correct.
And then just, I
So-
really wanna make sure that we keep really good track of all that information so that we can then do an evaluation at the end of the first year to see whether or not it was a cost savings, cost neutral,
Or a big
or
expenditure.
or an expenditure that we
That we can report
we
back
need to
the tax-
reconsider. Mhm.
Am I sensing that you'd rather wait to answer their question until we actually have the policy?
Well, when were they looking to do the trips and,
There's no
It was
date.
just a generic question. whether
okay, so
could
they
do
didn't have a
that.
specific date
No
in mind, so it's not
specific.
like, hey, we need it next
So
week.
I'm guessing the answer would be yes, but we need to establish the guidelines and a scheduling system so that we're not promising it to one person. And who's gonna be the point person for this?
So right
That's
now,
another
tell
thing.
them maybe pending us figuring out how we're gonna go about
Okay.
doing it. So don't tell them a hard yes, tell them it's a maybe. We have to figure it out.
You got your button?
Go for it, let the viewers at home hear it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'll-
Joe.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
give them a generic yes.
Feel free to
but
pull
we-
your chair closer so you don't have to
Say
keep standing
yes,
up walking over.
however,
I-
we can't do anything until we have more details.
Correct.
Okay.
And nobody sings wheels.
I've kind of taken
And-
care
and
of them
nobody sings wheels on the bus.
for.
Yeah.
Why not?
No, that's gonna be a requirement.
Want to just roll it over, you know.
I was gonna say, are you looking to be a driver again?
And we, no. No, no. No.
Come on, you drove me, you can drive my kids too.
Yeah, no. That shouldn't say it, but as far as running and working with the school and scheduling.
Yeah.
So,
Let's
Yeah.
auction off the other two and just make a little bit of like emergency.
well, we
fund.
were only given 2 of the 3, correct?
Right.
I know the
Right.
school board still
That's
needs
what
to
we
get
voted
rid of
on.
the other 2 that are sitting down at the Burlington
That's-
Plaza.
You know,
That's what we were voted upon.
There's something else too. Maybe we should take the 5, sell the 3, and then we can take the money and
Put it in the fund.
put it in the fund for future use.
I believe when the school board proposed giving the 2 buses to the town, they had indicated, and Angie, if you're watching, correct me, they had indicated that they were going to sell,
Yeah,
I thought at least 2, and give that money to the town.
well,
But
I
as far
don't
as I
know
know, there's
about
still 2
get-
buses sitting down at the farm that
Well, we
haven't been
have,
sold yet.
no, we have 3
You
of
have
them. We
3 of
have
them?
one at the school, and that's kinda on me. I gotta
Right.
try to get going and do that, but it was just kind of an idea. You know, Linda and I put together a budget. That budget this year is kind of a trial budget. And we did it as such in the line items, so we could keep track of anything to do with the buses separately. Maintenance,
Yep.
fuel, drivers, so that'll
Yeah, it
be
should be
kind of
completely
a,
separate.
even though it'll be in the road budget, it'll be its own,
Separate.
yeah,
Okay.
separate thing,
Okay.
Yeah.
so.
All right, we're getting way off course on this, so
Mhm. Thank
let's
you.
look, rein this back in.
Thanks for
So,
nothing else.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, so tell them maybe we have to work out details.
Understood.
And
Next
then,
thing,
uh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You can go ahead and start trying to draft a policy usage,
Right, I got the
and-
notes.
coordinate with Joel and whoever you have to come up with the details.
Got it. Next, what I had, sir, is some legislative review. A couple of things that might affect us or probably affect us. There's a House bill for broadband build-out assistance to communities. Essentially, they're going to be 2%, beginning, they're going to charge a rate, 1/2 of 1% telecommunication service, and they're going to put everything in a connectivity fund. In other words, they're going to build up money to help communities be given up to $45,000 grants for broadband connectivity. That's underway. There's clean water legislation that's coming out of the Senate. That is a committee that I actually testified to. Management of monies and revenue source. They are thinking of allocating $45 million to that to help mitigate clean water. And we're very interested in that. There'll be a House bill that provides for additional funding for highway aid. Joel's a master at getting capital funds for that. And they have a bill for workforce development and economic growth. I'm interested to seeing what that is. There are several plans out there. There's a regional plan, one of the things that, for that, and under economic development, they have formulas for opportunity zones, economic opportunity zones. We don't fit, we're not one of them. And it's because the formula kicks us out because we have a high median income and we have a low median poverty rate. We have outliers of very wealthy people that skew those numbers high. And one of the things I talked to members of the committees at the state was, you might want to readdress the formula and make it a little bit more practical, because if you're doing strictly numbers, you're not going to help us. We had
I'm sure we're not the only town in the
no,
state that
not
has
the only
that.
town. Right, so, they have a Senate bill to determine maximum level of PFOA and PFAS. This is what I talked about. They're all over the map. If you look around the country, different samples are tested in different ways, from the EPA to Ohio to Vermont. Everything's tested, and you get a different number of what everybody considers a maximum. I got a whole file I read through and talked to the health department. What they're trying to do is come up with a consistent testing method, condition samples, and criteria to come up with a number, and stick with that number as the high level of contaminant, and making that a reliable number. Because what that lends to, people look at different numbers. The EPA has this, and we have it. They look at that as, hey, this is a hoax. There's nothing. They don't even know what the level is supposed to be. So they're trying to rein that in, and I got to give them credit. That's a tough job. So that's coming. They have a bill for coming out for net metering for public institutions. So you could participate in one or more net metering system, and you get money gained from power in excess. So you put excess into the grid. Doesn't matter who it's from. We would save. And I have a gentleman from Green Lantern coming to the next meeting, I believe the first meeting in May, and he's going to give you an entire briefing on what the solar panels are doing, where they're at with it, and how it affects the grid in town of Pownell. I think that'll be great for you. It'll be great for the people that are watching. Give a good explanation of what's going on with that. But that's just a quick legislative update, and I try to stick my nose in wherever I can. So, on behalf of Pownell.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Keep sticking it in relation to the clean water
Yes,
stuff.
yeah, and you'll hear more about that in executive. Where I jumped the chain of
You're
command.
not bailing on us, are you?
Bye, Fred.
Bye, Fred.
Thanks for sticking with us. It's not 9 o'clock yet.
No, this is an early.
Hey,
This is,
you're trying to pumpkin,
Good.
Fred.
You guys have an early night.
bye, guys.
Bye, bye, John.
Bye, John.
For economic development, I made arrangements for a summer forum. I'd like to make sure that you are okay with that. We have worked hard for village designation, and it provides for different kinds of tax incentives and grant incentives for people, but the people have to ask for it. We did it, we patted ourselves on the back, we did a great job, but what we need to do is instruct the people. And I want to have a forum, I want to have the state come down, I want to advertise the heck out of it, get everybody in the room. This is what you can do, this is how much money you could save by applying for this program. It's competitive. So if we give everyone the knowledge of how to do it and do it correctly, we become more competitive. And maybe we can get people to get some of this monies and apply it and start spurring some growth. So,
Marlena?
I just want to make sure that you're explaining it the way that I remember it. Was it business-driven grants? So if you own a
It's not just
business?
business.
It's not just
It's not just
businesses,
business,
okay.
no.
So I know that was one of the things that we talked about,
Right.
was businesses have access to all of these grants,
Mhm.
but they need to know what they are and what they're for.
Correct.
And many of them don't know what they are, what they're for, how to apply for them. And part of the forum, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Is to also ensure that some of our small businesses or larger businesses in town know what's available for them to apply for, so that they can do improvements to their facilities.
And
It's,
they get to determine what's the best product for them. For example, they could get a 50% savings on state fire code. And if that is something that would benefit them, they get 25% for facade work, painting, repairs, roof.
sprucing it up. Mhm.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different products in there, and depending on what they want to do or what they need to do, they can go for that or go for more. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody gets access to it.
Michael, was there also some information that I read where individual property owners who own multi-dwelling facilities where they rent out units also have access to funds to make
Habitability, I believe.
habitability, energy efficiency,
Yeah, energy
new
efficiency.
doors, windows, replacement of hot water heaters, insulation of water pipes, stuff like that. But again, if they don't know, or it might have been a matching grant, but all this information is there. I just don't think a lot of people know it, understand it.
Should we maybe
But
do
also-
a mailer to the property owners in town then, if we're gonna do a forum?
Well,
To
I-
help spread the information?
Yes, so I want somehow to get the word out. I have between now and June 10th to figure out and work with the state, and maybe they'll pay for it. You know, send out flyers, I hope. But we want to get the word out, and I'll work with the Chamber of Commerce, work with
Yeah,
BCRC.
definitely
Yeah,
work with
I
the
think
Chamber of
it's a
Commerce.
good idea.
Alright,
Yeah,
Um,
so we get this word out, so we get people in the room. It's going to be at the school, it's going to be at the library at 6 p.m., June 10th.
Yep, and the
So-
other thing that we had we had kind of brainstormed in Economic Development Committee was whether or not there's folks available who are really good grant writers that can assist community members with applying for these grants and filling out all of the documentation and paperwork in order to competitively, be in the running for, say a $2,500 grant to help weatherize your home or, change the
Whatever.
facade of your
Yeah.
building.
Business, yeah.
So
Can be very
that's
cumbersome.
just one of several things. There is a Parks and Recreation grant, USDA grant. I would like to go for that. I'm getting the information on it now. I think it's July 1st. When I get all the details, I'll come back to you on that. We talked about the hiking trail. I got information on a country western band. And I'm just thinking about the possibility of someplace in town having a small concert, having these folks play and have people come one night.
find a location, get
Find
your
a loca-
permits, and
Yeah,
make sure you
all
have
that
all
stuff.
your ducks in a row.
Yeah, that's,
It's a good
I'm
idea.
I'm considering it. I really haven't jumped into it yet, but I just wanted to start the discussion with you. We have some action items based on the SWOT analysis. For example, we'd like to have someone go through an entire process of permitting. Obviously, it would be fake, but go through the entire process and then evaluate it. You know, where do we need to shore this up? Where do we need to make it more efficient? From everything from the forms to the process to,
So you wanna do a process audit?
We want to
Right.
do a process improvement, Brian.
You
We're going to
know-
flow chart it out.
yeah, that's exactly what we want to do.
Ugh.
Yeah.
We're going to do a lean program. Throw in a
Yeah.
little Kaizen and a little 5S.
The other thing I'd like to do was the Shires. If you're familiar with the Shires housing group, they would like to have a forum for people to discuss. Basically, they purchase property and build an efficient economic,
Low income.
you know, a
Affordable
nice
housing?
home, affordable home, and then people move back in it. I wanted to make sure that people didn't think, we're throwing them out of their houses. It's a really great
So
program.
it's a process, they pick a family that applies and then
Yes.
build
And
them a
then
new
they apply-
home.
Build them new homes, and we'd like to do that this summer too. I'd like to be able to
Is
contact.
that in cooperation with
It's almost like
Habitat for
TLC.
Humanity, or is that something separate?
was
I
thinking
think
Habitat
Habitat's
for
separate. So those are some of the
Pretty
things for economic development.
But Habitat doesn't just take
We
people
gotta-
out
They-
and then build it.
We've got a
Right.
pretty robust group of people that want to do some good stuff. And
good.
we got a lot
Yeah.
of ideas. I'm ready to let them loose.
Anything for helping improve the town,
Yeah.
coordinate it, bring them in. Ask
So-
for the approval, and I don't think you're gonna have trouble getting it from us.
Yeah.
The next item I have for you, Mr. Chairman, is when we started the wastewater treatment facility revolving fund, the board approved the contract with the Johnson Company to begin work. Two things happened. The Johnson Company merged. They're now VHB, Vanas Hagen Bruslin Incorporated. Same people, they merged with another company. That's the first thing that changed, so you have to sign another contract. The next thing that changed was we had a conference call with Clean Water and their expectations of what's going to happen first, second, third. And we were kind of surprised because they put an awful lot more emphasis on the beginning phases of this project. And they broke it down into 3 tasks. So if you look at the long term, we're looking at estimate of $750,000 loan. 300,000 of it could potentially be in the first part of that, and that came to $19,534 for just task 1, and we want to get that signed. I saw the paperwork. We are in the middle of priority, and we're cleared for $50,000. What happens is, as we go along, priority changes. We start to fill in the blanks of chemical contamination and other difficulties, and it's readdressed every year, and our priority changes. We anticipate it going up. Going down is kind of cool too, because that means we don't have to spend as much money, and there's not as much damage as we thought. So it's this is pretty complex. We're working on it since last July. The paperwork just came out. I don't have a formal letter yet, but I looked at the paperwork from the state, and we have 51 points right in the middle, with clearance for $50,000 to proceed. But we need to approve and sign this contract with VHB. If you would entertain a motion, that would be wonderful.
I was gonna say, would you pass it around and let
Yes,
people
please.
take a
I think we have
look at it?
Yep.
too.
The engineer was on the other side, was on the telephone in another town, and he was as stunned as I was that the change in the process, because he had already worked up the scope of work. He had it already written. He had to go back. He had a week to do it. He had a week to do this, and add all the other things that the state wants him to do.
So it was clean water through the EPA?
It's
Or
Clean
stormwater?
Water revolving fund, state
Okay.
Clean Water revolving fund. And then there's Department of Environmental
Yeah,
Control. There's a bunch of different entities up there.
Can we circulate the, are you just reading a contract in the office, is that correct?
Yes, they are. They're just looking at it.
Didn't we get an email with this thing? No?
You did get an email.
Yeah.
I thought we did. It was a change, so.
Yeah, there was an email, it was the WWTF
Yeah.
email.
It's the same program, but 2 substantial changes. One is the company merged, and the other is the rearrangement of 3 parts of this program. More emphasis on the first part, more money.
It's so quiet.
Well, you're reading, sir. I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, I have little kids. I can multitask.
But you're the chair.
Oh yeah, that's right too.
I got older children, and the only thing I have to pay attention to is my wallet.
What goes in goes right back out.
Absolutely. I'm paying my car insurance there.
Yeah.
Hey, it's tough being a young adult these days. College loan debt we're saddled with.
Anybody else want to take a look at it?
I've already read it.
Crazy.
Yeah, I've already seen it online, so. if you want.
Motion to approve and sign
Contract with the
contract, what is it?
Or VHB.
VHB.
Second it.
So there's a motion and a second to approve the contract with VHB. Any further discussion on it?
No?
I'm fine. Karen?
I'm good, I know.
Bob, any discussion?
No,
Okay. All in favor of approving and signing the contract, say aye.
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 abstain.
Okay. All opposed? Okay.
And the very last item I have, sir, is the last piece of the puzzle for the solar array at the wastewater treatment facility. The attorney filed EPA change of use with, change of use for this fight. That was the last document that had to be produced. He submitted that, just waiting for EPA to say, go for it. And we'll probably hear from the company at the next meeting, so.
Okay.
There's one of
This where you
them.
need a signature?
Please and thank you.
Want the purple pencil?
Just one signature on
Yes.
that, right?
Hmm?
Just one signature on that.
I believe it's just a chair, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Remind me again, when the solar array goes in, that's the town's solar array,
Leasing the property.
leasing it, okay,
Yeah. There's a lease.
okay, thank you.
No. Do we get a percentage of the production?
Yes, I don't know, what, I've got I read through the contract, but I don't remember all the details.
I don't remember seeing the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very legal language, it's, print,
Oh, yeah.
Shuffle it up on them.
That would be cool.
that would be good. Okay. Great, and that is it, sir. Ma'am, ladies,
Thank you.
Thank you.
People.
people, you all.
Select persons.
All right, so we already took care of old business. All we have left is
Road
new
plan.
business regarding road crew foreman for blacktop plans.
You're up, Joel.
That'd be you.
Come on down.
About it.
Gotta wake up.
Yes.
Hey, it's only 8:30. I think we're doing quite well.
You've done very well.
Had to put his eyes on.
I mean, Patricia's still awake in the corner over there, so
She still has battery life.
Yeah.
no, she's tethered to the wall. I think. Oh nope.
Okay, usually
She can't
I
type it in just a year.
bring this to the select board every year just so, because sometimes people have different ideas or whatever on what the blacktop. I gave you guys all this sheet. I planned on doing some on Pudding Stone, not all of it. Finishing Burrington Road because we put it off ever since we started. Every year something
The
different
second
is
half's pretty rough.
happened, yeah, really bad. This is kind of, if you guys want to look at it, kind of a history of what we've done and what we've spent in the past. You can keep them, I just printed off a couple reports out of the computer from, in the time I've been here, from 2016. On the actual side is what we've done. The budget side is what was budgeted, and we just have a, or kind of a wish list
You started Burrington Road back in 2018?
in
I was gonna say
2000.
I
Did I
think
miss-
it
did I
was
miss
on
it?
there before.
2016.
Oh,
It started in
wow.
We put in
2016.
for it, it's, we just, on the actual line is what we
Oh, I
actually did.
gotcha,
Okay.
okay.
See, we,
So
I
even though you put in for it, you did South Stream Road and stuff, okay.
well, a year before, we did more on, North Pownell Road. So we kind of put the rest of the money on that to finish it all the way down through. Last year, it got late, and the price was really high on doing it by the ton. So
I know that road.
I think it was like $85 a ton or something. And I also had Dean Road on it, and they were like $120 a ton, so we just, it was too much money. We just let them slide and did South Stream.
Some areas you went through and did culvert work too prior, getting that set back things, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to do preemptive.
Well, that was part of the whole state thing going on for that, isn't it?
Oh, we're
With the
way ahead
washout
of the
and
state.
everything.
Right.
You mean topographical?
We got
Yeah.
we got like a 10-minute like cram session informational on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we're at 78%, we're really up there. Doing a great job.
We're doing pretty good. What I figured from the fund balance sheet,
Yep.
we have 160,000 that carries over from this year in it because we got all the money back. And we put in 25,000 last year.
Okay.
And actually what we did was move it from there to there for this year. That's why we
Yep.
but we're gonna have to put it back there next year, so.
That's what you do.
Yeah, I know.
You're stealing from the left pocket to the right pocket.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
This year, but we were fortunate. I also put in for Maple Grove Road, if you look and see, I have a grant, or application in. So if we do that, and also on Maple Grove, I'd like to do some shimming up through towards the dump where it's dropping off. I'm gonna put that in the bid also, and, you know, we'll see what the prices come in. If they come in really good, we'll have enough to do, you know, all them sections. If not, then we drop something off. We always reserve the right to add or take away roads.
What's shimming? Can you explain that to somebody who doesn't
Well,
understand road lingo?
you get the wheel ruts in your road, and
Yep.
we go through and just fill them to level it. It's kind of a leveling course.
Oh, okay.
And then usually you shim before you overlay anyhow to level it up and then go in.
Okay.
But just I don't know if you guys have noticed, it's pretty ruddy up through by the dump. It's
Yeah, heavier traffic.
truck traffic up through there, yeah. Maple Grove Road is a Class 2 highway, which means we can apply for Class 2 blacktopping grants.
Oh.
We can't for our Class 3, so we try to save North Pownell, Barbers Pond, Maple Grove, Main Street in Pownell. We try to save them for grants rather than out of our own pocket.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This,
totally.
in the Class 3 roads, we try to do out of our own pocket. But sometimes it doesn't work, and we usually get a pretty good grant every 3 to 4 years maybe for blacktopping, so I really don't expect to get one this year
Okay.
on that.
I don't know if you're aware, but we have a complete list of all the roads in town, and they're prioritized. So we were talking about, we met this morning, and we were talking about when we come to you, we wanna, here's the plan. How many roads we wanna do and at what cost, and do it in order of the priorities. Because he's got it dialed in, he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
fully trust Joel's judgment.
Yeah.
If he says the road needs work, it needs work.
I found out he can color inside the lines too.
You see my wavy?
Well, he's just trying to bring it to your level, Mike.
Yeah, I know, yeah, he'll get there.
Joel, can I ask you a question? And it has
Yes.
nothing to do with the budget you just proposed. It's more a question of how the roads get graded. So, in another part of the state where I'm very familiar with, when they grade their dirt roads, they grade it into the middle. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to say grade it. It's like when it's really muddy and mucky, they grade all that crap into the middle of the road. So you still have 2 lanes,
Mm-hmm.
but then it like dries and it kind of spreads back out. Why don't we do that here?
We actually, if it gets real muddy, take it to the outsides and then bring it back in when it dries to give, you know, people. We do bring our roads in and then back out again
And back
for,
out.
yeah, to establish our crown and
Okay.
maintain it.
I was just wondering.
We do grade that way, it's the way we grade.
Okay.
Bring it, but when it's muddy, seriously muddy, like it's, you know, we've had
It's
this
bad,
year.
yeah.
A lot of times, rather than, a lot of people get upset, you know, to fix a hole way up here, you're liable to take the rest of the road out, just getting to that one hole. So if you can go up in there and just do anything to get the people through at the time, you're better off. The more you run on a road, the more you work it and pump the water up. And so we try to do as little as we can just to get people and emergency vehicles, and mud season,
Mud season's
you know,
mud
it's
Once
a-
it dries out, then you
If
can
you
do the
look at
fixing.
Then
If you
we
look in
can-
comparison to other towns, our roads are open pretty darn quick. Others had roads closed for a couple days to up to a week.
We
We were
closed
open
some this year.
temporarily, all right?
Yeah, we tried it, to keep the through traffic off them, because we get a lot of through traffic on some of them.
Yep.
Just so the people can get home that live there, you know,
Yep.
back and forth.
That reminds me, whatever happened with the whole milk truck disaster that ripped up Strohmeyer's Road?
I don't know whether we do.
Where
They-
are we with that?
They didn't really tear it up, but he left pretty good ruts after we went through. I contacted the company and talked to
Is their
him.
insurance company gonna help?
No,
fix
because
it
it
up?
didn't get to that point. It didn't get really bad.
Okay.
It just kinda made you mad. You had the road all smooth for lighter vehicles, cars and stuff. And it was a miscommunication between the driver and so he did, I called the guy the next day, his boss, and, they come around from Bennington side until we gave him the okay to come back in.
Okay.
Thanks for dealing with
So there was
that.
no road repair or anything that was
No,
needed
that was,
from us? Okay.
no perishables, you can't, you can keep most trucks off the road during mud season, but milk, you can't, anything to do with food or feed or anything, you can't.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joel.
Good job, man.
Okay.
All right, so that marks the end of that.
Yeah, thank you.
Motion to
Russ.
adjourn, or we go into
Well,
motion,
we
we
have-
have to adjourn.
Adjourn
Do we
first.
have
No, we don't
anything?
adjourn, we motion to go into
Oh, motion,
executive
okay.
session.
Session.
Oops, I forgot the no.
Oh, there it is. I love it.
Motion to adjourn to go into executive session.
No, motion to just go into executive
Oh,
session.
motion to go into executive session.
Okay, I second that.
For what?
Oh,
Personnel.
Oh, for
Personnel
personnel and
and legal.
legal
I think
contractual.
we have to do a separate one for each one.
Do we?
So we
I
have,
knew
we're
something
gonna
was
do
separate.
executive session for personal,
Okay.
then we'll finish that, come out of it, then go back
and
in.
then go back
for-
in.
So, I'll hear a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Motion to go into executive session for personnel.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to go into executive session for personnel. Any discussion before we do? Before we vote? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Bye.
All opposed? All right, we're in executive session.